Brisbane River to share their knowledge and stories. We pay our respects to their elders, laws, customs, and creation spirits. We recognise that these lands where QUT now stands have always been places of teaching, researching, and learning. We acknowledge the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people play within our QUT community. From Moreton Bay, inland as far as the Great Dividing Range near Warwick and Toowoomba, as far north as the Caboolture River, including the lands around Brisbane City, Meanjin. Yura yura yinala, balka bi balka, nganguru nguru maramakoro nganya birali, nganya bayam. Welcome to the traditional country of the Turrbal and Yagara people.
Well, that is just beautiful and a beautiful way for us to get started this morning. And I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to any First Nations people joining us today, and also a very warm welcome to all of our HDR students. Whether you've been with us for a few months or you're just starting out or even yet to start, whether you're here in Australia or joining us from overseas, welcome. And today is all about you and all about letting you know about the wonderful support and opportunities that are available here at QUT for you to take advantage of. Before I go much further though, I'd like to introduce you to Professor Essa Yartinen, who is the Director of Graduate Research Education and Development, which is the team that I work for. And I'll just share some slides here so that Essa can chat to you. He's going to give you a welcome and tell you a little bit about his journey, I believe. I'll just get him set up. And here is Essa.
Thank you, Imogen. Hopefully everyone there can hear me. There's been a slight change in the schedule. The official welcome will be given to us all by the DBCR, Professor Christopher Barner-Colwick, a bit later on. So just to keep things moving, I'll talk a little bit about my experience. And firstly, I've got to say it's a great privilege and honour to be here talking to you and sharing my journey from where you sit now as a budding PhD or master's student all the way through to a possible destination. So, so I've been fortunate enough to have a research career spanning about 25 years now, and now I'm leading a successful group developing laser sensors to try and protect the community. And I feel like I've had a very fortunate experience to get to where I am now as a professor of science with the Faculty of Science. And you may think, well, that sort of journey starts when you're at the age of 5. You put a plan in place and follow it through. And I can tell you now that nothing is further from the truth than that. Like all of us, where we end up in our careers, we start off at school. That's the starting point. And at school, we find things that interest us and intrigue us and make us think a bit more. And for me, I was always intrigued by puzzles. I love a good Sudoku. I love a good maths puzzle. I also love the physical laws that govern the universe. So things like Newton's law of gravity. So of course, with that sort of interest, you would think that the career choice for me was obvious, and it was. I wanted to be a carpenter. So at school, I thought I could apply my puzzle solving knowledge, put in a bit of trigonometry, help buildings stand up and build lovely houses around the countryside. So I left school at year 10 to pursue that dream. Of course, all dreams don't work out, and it didn't for me. I couldn't find a job as a carpenter, so I settled for the next best thing, which was working at a service station pumping gas. And I did that for a year, and it was a marvelous experience because I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about people and how to engage and interact with a whole range of different people. And I learned a lot about financial responsibility, because you may not appreciate this, but people that pump gas don't get paid a lot of money. So after a year, I realized that for my long-term prospects, staying at the service station was not going to be the answer. So I go back to school, and there I take the opportunities given to me, learn a bit more about different things, and then try and work out what it was I wanted to do. But I'll be honest with you, at the end of year 12, I still didn't know, but I did like physics. So I went to university. I went to UQ, studied science, because I just did not have any clear picture of what it was I wanted to do. But I did have a thought at the back of my mind, teaching might be a great career. So that was the thing I set out to do when I was at university. Got to third year university, and I still wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do. And it was at that point when I chanced upon an advertisement to do a vacation research project scholarship experience with CSIRO. And that changed everything for me. They actually paid me money. They paid me money to solve an interesting little research problem, which I was able to do. And from there, my path was set for me. That involved going to another university to do a PhD. And there I studied laser physics and developed some skills, took the opportunities available for me to learn in a whole range of different environments. And then at the end of that process, when I finally finished my PhD, I got offered a couple of postdocs to go to universities and start on that path to academia. But that wasn't for me. What I wanted to do research that helped the community and helped people. So I joined CSIRO, where I was fortunate enough to mix with a whole bunch of different industries to do interesting things like measure very difficult things to measure. For example, if you're in a mine, how do you measure the depth of a borehole when you're 2 kilometers underground? Or if you're developing engine parts, how do you measure the displacement of a piston? So these are interesting, challenging industry problems that got me to mix with a whole range of people and companies like Ford, Toyota, Rio Tinto, BHP, and a whole host of others. So I got really engaged with industry at that point. And it was really interesting because you're dealing with a whole range of different backgrounds, and you really have to learn how to work in that environment. And I got to say, I was sort of relatively successful. I was fortunate enough to receive 3 or 4 fellowships that took me around the world. And I spent a lot of my time living and traveling around the world, working in this space. So you would think, okay, great, success. That's it. But for me, at the back of my mind was always that thought, oh, I thought teaching would be a great thing to do. So in my mid-30s, I decided that I'd drop all of that, take a few steps backwards, and in terms of pay, not in terms of where I was, and join QUT. And there I developed the skills. I took whatever opportunities I could get to learn how to teach effectively, to mentor young folk, to develop research and develop research teams. And from there, that's how I've gotten to where I am now. And I guess my key message with all of this is that your life journey is rarely planned out. I guess if you're the Queen of England, once you're born, you know you're going to be the Queen of England. But for the rest of us, our path takes many twists and turns. But throughout all of that, you should always try and take as many of those opportunities that are given to you, because you just don't know where they're going to lead you. And at QUT, we have a whole host of opportunities to learn about how to develop your career, how to engage with industry. And these things are hugely important because, to be honest with you, 70% of research graduates will end up working in industry and aligned areas outside of academia. And they are rich and rewarding experiences. So I urge you all to think about that and take the opportunities that come your way. So thank you very much for listening to me. I think we're now up to the next part of the agenda, so I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Essa, for that wonderful, for sharing, I guess, his wonderful journey that I suppose prepares us to expect the unexpected. And you can see me here just backtracking a little bit because we've now been joined by the wonderful Professor Christopher Barner-Kowalik, who's going to give us a formal welcome. Christopher is the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Research at QUT, and as such, he leads up our research effort, and he's agreed to come in and share a few words with you today. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and see if, here he is, Christopher's online. Hi, Christopher, I'll hand over to you if you like.
Thank you very much, Imogen. And I'm sorry I'm a bit delayed, but I was with the Vice Chancellor and we're talking about QUT research strategy a little bit. So also a very warm welcome from me. And I was fortunate enough, I actually was a little bit happy that I was a little bit late because I could listen to what Essa had to say about you know, his career journey. And I would like to underscore what Essa has said, that life takes many twists, and if you follow your interests and your passions, that will probably lead you into the right place, and be open. And when I did an exchange here in the United States, when I was in high school many years back, the exchange organization I went with had the motto of expect the unexpected, and I think that's a really good motto also for a PhD. That you're undertaking, or a higher degree research journey. You've all chosen to do this because you're passionate about what you do. You're excited to learn new things about how the world and the universe works, how humanity functions, and hopefully your research will make an impact, either to knowledge and inspire generations to come, or will find very practical solutions for our communities or in technology spaces. It's probably fair to say, and I'm sure Essa would underwrite that as well, that undertaking an HDR journey can at times also be quite a frustrating experience, because whether you're an experimentalist, or you work in the humanities or the social sciences, or you're a physicist like Essa, or a chemist like myself, there are many instances where you've done experiments that didn't work out, things that didn't go as planned. And I would like to encourage you to work with your supervisory teams as a very close community to overcome these matters. It's a team effort, and perseverance is probably the most important indicator of future success, because all of you are incredibly clever and smart already. So if you add perseverance to this mix, I'm sure you will succeed. QUT will, and the research portfolio will be your partner on your journey. We're here to listen. And later in the year, we'll have another HDR forum where we'll take questions from you, suggestions for improvements that we can make along the HDR journey. And please make use of all the wonderful opportunities that GRAD, headed by Essa, has to offer as well. So thank you very much. I'd love to learn about every single of your journeys, albeit that will be a bit difficult because we have 2,400 HDR students. But occasionally I get a glimpse into those journeys, especially in subject areas that I'm not in. I myself supervise 20 HDR students, so and I've graduated over 90, so I'm quite familiar to what it takes. So thank you very much again, and I hope you have a good session now, and you can move on to the next piece. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Christopher. That's fantastic, and so fantastic to hear your thoughts and your advice to these new researchers starting out on their wonderful journeys. So before we go too much further, I'm just going to share my screen again so that I can talk you through a little tiny bit of housekeeping of some things that we've got coming up today. We've got the formalities out of the way, and now we can start to have a little bit of fun and enjoy ourselves a little bit. First of all, you might have just seen a message that I posted in the chat. If you could please post your student number in there, that enables us to record your attendance, and it means that we can send you all the materials from today and follow up with you, and also tick that off so that we know that you've been along, that you've accessed all this information that we're going to share with you. And there is a lot of information today. It's a couple of hours. We've got lots and lots of different speakers. All of them are people at QUT who are passionate about supporting HDR students and about making your journey as supportive and as successful as it can possibly be. But in order to make things a little more engaging as well, I've embedded a little tiny competition into our slides as well. So who knows what this is? Anyone know what that is? Still getting student numbers. That, and when I'm asking questions, you can pop their answers. It's a graduation hat. Yes, so that's its official name is a bonnet, and that is a Cambridge hat. That's the hat that you get to wear if you're a PhD student, and when you get to your graduation, and at any graduation for the rest of your life or anything requiring academic dress. And this, of course, is known as a mortarboard, and this is what our MPhil students will be wearing at their graduation. So what I've done is I've procured 10 $10 on-campus vouchers that you can spend at any of the retail outlets on Kelvin Grove and Gardens Point campus. And when you see either the bonnet or the mortarboard hidden in the slides through the rest of the presentations today, if you can type the word hat into the chat, not counting this slide, of course, the lovely Julia, who's in the background running everything and looking after some of our tech for us, will be in touch with you, and she'll make sure you get your hands on one of our $10 vouchers, which is at least enough for a coffee and a muffin, or a coffee for you and your friends, and is a lovely way to get started. So the hats, some of them, the bonnets and the mortarboards, some of them are very well hidden. So be interested to see how you go through the rest of the day. It's just to make things a little bit more fun. So next, I'd like to invite Emma Kirkland to join us and share her video. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here so that Emma can share hers. Emma's from the Graduate Research Centre's HDR Client Services team, and her team support you with all the administrative aspects of your research degree. So things like your milestones, your budget, your travel, all kinds of things like that. And she's going to talk you through all of those particulars, and again, a great way to get started. So here we go. You right to take over, Emma?
Yep. Can you see my slides okay?
Looks great.
Awesome. Thank you. So yes, I just want to say a big thank you to Imogen and to the Grad team for inviting me to come and speak to everyone this morning, and a big thank you as well to our students who are coming through and just starting, and it's really exciting. So thank you for being here. As Imogen said, my name is Emma Kirkland, so I'm the team leader for the Client Services team, specifically for the Faculty of Health. And we're within the Graduate Research Centre. So the Graduate Research Centre makes up a whole HDR support team. So we're made up of several client services teams and administrative services teams as well. And what we do is we provide specialist HDR candidature support for you all along your journey. So before I move through to the slides, I just wanted to take you through a few acronyms, because you will hear them pop up throughout my presentation. So we've got HDR, so of course higher degree research. We've got the GRC, which is the Graduate Research Centre, and we've got GRED, which is Graduate Research Education and Development, and that's the lovely team who's putting this orientation on for you this morning. So the reason why I'm just clarifying those is because the GRC and GRED, students tend to get us a little bit confused sometimes. We are similar, but a bit different. So GRED's focus is on researcher training and professional development, but you're going to hear a lot more about that today in greater detail. And the GRC, which is who I'm presenting, so we provide HDR candidates just support throughout your journey as well. Okay. So what do I mean by HDR candidature support? There's lots of stuff. So we do provide administration support to students from the time they inquire about submitting an application to do their degree right through to the time that they graduate. So you're going to get to know us quite well. So we do have people who are specialists for your schools as well. So the schools that you're enrolled through. So you will have, even though you have access to all of us, you will have that one person as a touch point throughout your candidature as well. So just a few examples of what we can help you with. So if you need to travel for fieldwork or to present at a conference, we can provide guidance and instructions on how to submit that application and how to get some funding for that as well. We can provide guidance on how to apply for QUT scholarships if you're not already lucky enough to have one. If you need to take leave of absence or apply for an extension, sometimes life can get a little crazy. We understand that. You can come and have a chat to us. If you can't find something on the QUT website and it's driving you crazy, you can come and have a chat to us about that. We can always point you in the right direction. And QUT is a really big place as well. So sometimes you just don't know who the right person is to talk to. So we can always point you in the right direction if you're not quite sure. So basically, along with GRED and many of the other support services that you're going to hear from today, GRC has got your back throughout your candidature. So the main goal, of course, is to see you graduate with a doctoral or a master's thesis, but really you're going to be finishing with much more than that. So yes, you will definitely be developing skills to be an independent researcher and to use critical thought and engage in robust discussions and learn to articulate the knowledge that your research generates. You'll also develop a wealth of transferable skills in project management, problem solving, networking, communication, academic writing. The list just goes on and on. So really, this is the big picture that we're all aiming for, and we hope to be able to give you the tips for researching and the end goal in a timely and successful way as well. So this is a very clear stepwise guide of what it looks like, but as mentioned this morning already, it's not always a linear progression. So although these milestones do definitely set signposts throughout your candidature, your research journey is definitely unique and individual to you. So QUT does adopt a project management approach to managing your candidature, and you very much are the project manager here. So your supervisors are here to guide and support you, but you're definitely in charge of your thesis and your own learning as well. So you need to set your own work hours and arrange meetings with your supervisors. You need to track your progress and implement work-life balance. That's very important. And in some cases, and I've had many supervisors say this themselves, you'll need to manage them sort of in terms of putting meetings in their diaries, for regular catch-ups, having a chat to them about what your expectations are and about what their expectations are for the submission of work and getting feedback. And things like that. So it's really important to have those sorts of discussions early on in your candidature as well. The MPhil and the PhD are time-based degrees punctuated by milestones. Milestones act as important checkpoints to help you assess your progress. They provide quality assurance to ensure that any knowledge gaps or difficulties are identified early on, and they encourage constructive feedback as well from your supervisors, but also from other expert and independent reviewers. Your milestones are also a reminder to celebrate your achievements. So remember to enjoy these moments and please don't let them pass you by. I can't stress this enough. Many students get so caught up on what remains to be done that they don't stop to acknowledge everything that they've already achieved and everything they've learned. So please take that time to really acknowledge your achievements and give yourself a pat on the back for those. So everyone's journey is different, and it certainly reflects the demands of your topic, your supervisory team, the expectations of candidates, as well as available resources and time. Also remember that this is a research training degree, so you're not expected to have all the answers right now, and no one's expecting perfection from you. So please remember that when we encourage you to reach out to your peers and colleagues to share knowledge and information, do not compare yourself or judge your own progress against that of others either. You may each be following the same blueprint towards success, but you're definitely following your own individual pathways. So I'm just going to take you through very briefly about what the milestones look like. I will say just up front though, so we do also have our professional doctorate students as well. So the milestones may look slightly different for you. So all you need to do is just check with your faculty client services team and they can run you through any differences. But I understand they do orientations for those as well. So the expected completion date of a PhD, and this is full-time equivalent, is 3 years and is 1.5 years for the MPhil. So therefore, it's essential that you are aware of the milestone requirements found on the milestones page, which is linked here, and due dates, which can be viewed by the QUT app as well. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So if you're not sure of your dates though, you can always contact us and we can let you know what those are. Part of the HDR induction includes the research integrity online training, which is due within the first 3 months of commencement of your degree. The aim is to explore and understand important policies, requirements and codes of conduct related to the modern research environment. Also due within the first 3 months is the Advanced Information Research Skills Unit. And I see Jenny is here to talk more about that today as well. So this ultimately assists you with the foundation of knowledge for undertaking a research degree and guides you with the submission of your first milestone as well, which is the stage 2 for PhD or research proposal milestone for MPhil. So a little bit about the stage 2 and research proposal. This asks you to scope and focus your research project. Research questions, identifying the appropriate method and design, what resources are required, research skills development and a timeline. It asks you to look at ethics and health and safety, data management and intellectual property considerations as well. So the confirmation, so this is a PhD milestone and that's due at 12 months and this is all full-time equivalent. So you may have some pilot data or preliminary results by this time. So for confirmation, you must write a research report and present a public seminar on your work. The report outlines your progress to date and the research plan for your candidature as well. And this really gives you an opportunity, again, to learn how to articulate your research and to have academic discussions with the audience and then answer any questions that they may have following your seminar. So next we've got the final seminar for PhD or the research seminar for MPhil. This is a formative assessment process for quality assurance of thesis prior to being lodged for external examination. It is the opportunity to disseminate your research findings through a public presentation and again is another opportunity to celebrate your achievements as well. But it's not all just about the thesis. Our HDR students also undertake other research activities to enhance their career opportunities and develop their researcher profile. Such activities can include, but are certainly not limited to, writing up submission of papers for publication, presenting your research findings at international and domestic conferences, certainly engaging with industry and external partners, which is an exciting part of the journey, and undertaking paid industry internships as well, which is pretty cool. So Gred's going to speak to you today about those extensive range of professional development modules and researcher skills modules that will give you that edge because you're not just completing with an MPhil or a PhD, but you are completing with an MPhil or a PhD plus. Your research journey will challenge you and it'll make you stronger and more resilient and it'll push you to innovate and negotiate. Your supervisors and the grad team can help you not only to harness these challenges into growth, but will also help you to recognize and articulate your skills and knowledge for your own career development and planning as well. So I strongly encourage you to make use of the many, many support services that are available to you as a QUT student. So this is the app. It might not look exactly like this because they do tend to update it quite frequently, but I definitely recommend that you go in and download that because it does give you access to see what your upcoming milestone dates are. And of course, as I said, if you're ever not quite sure, just come and have a chat to us and we can help you with that. So if you haven't already done so, it's very wise to familiarize yourself with the research student community section of HiQ, and this is what the main page looks like. It's where you're going to find a lot of information relevant to you throughout your candidature. So the section called Your Candidature specifically will be of significant use to you. So please take the time to explore this quite early on. It includes information about all your milestones, how to make changes to your candidature, applying for extensions and leave, and also links you to other support services as well. So you can reach this page directly by clicking on the link in the PowerPoint, which will be shared with you. And you will definitely need to be logged in as with your student ID to be able to access it as well. So you will see your student profile at the top right-hand side of the page, and it's here where you can access and update your student contact details as well. So it's really important that you keep those contact details updated. So just a few tips and tricks. So I did want to just say that your supervisory team is generally your first port of call. They're here to see you succeed and to help guide you throughout your journey. So they are on your side. So please don't hide from them when things get a little bit tough. Please stay in contact with your supervisory team. We're also here as well, the client services team. So if there's ever something going on, you don't know who to talk to, you're not feeling comfortable for some reason speaking to your supervisory team, you can come and have a chat to us. It's all in confidence. I will say write early and write often and save drafts and back up your work. I have heard some horror stories. One of those involves someone losing 10,000 words. We don't want that happening to anyone, so please back up. Maintain a timeline and have a plan for your candidature and your future as well. And that comes back to the project management skills that we were talking about. Where possible, avoid changing supervisors or topic, as these definitely hinder progress. Unfortunately, sometimes it's unavoidable, and that's where we come in as well. So you can come in and have a chat to us if you are experiencing any challenges in that area. Really important, don't forget to use the network of people who are around you. So your friends and colleagues, your HDR student representatives. It can be a little bit of an isolating journey at times. So it's really important to reach out to friends and colleagues and attend QUT events, just to remind yourself that you're not actually alone through this. You do have support. And as I mentioned as well, I can't stress enough how important it is to actually make use of those support services that are available to you here at QUT. And I have provided links to some of those. It's not an exhaustive list, but they're some of the big ones. So definitely check them out because they're here for you as well. And as well, so consider redirecting your QUT email account to your private account. So if you're not planning on going in and checking your QUT email account very often, I would definitely recommend redirecting it. All the communication that we send you is going to be to your QUT student email account, so we don't want you missing out on anything that's important. And probably one of the most important ones of all is maintaining a work-life balance. So don't forget to keep up your hobbies or things that really interest you. It's not all just about the PhD. You have to remember to have a life as well. Easier said than done at times, I know. So this is how you contact us. So we do have teams on both Kelvin Grove and Gardens Point campus. You're welcome to come in and see us. We don't have specific appointment times. We're open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We love to meet you. Most of what we do is via phone or email. So we do get really excited when students come in to have a chat with us. Yeah, and I'll be around with some of the other GRC members as well at the Q&A session to answer any questions that you may have. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma, for sharing all of that information with us. We really, really appreciate it. So once you finish sharing your screen, I'll just flick back over to my screen. Thank you so much. And we'll kick off with a little bit more. So here we go. So as Emma mentioned, I work for, if you're late joining us, I'm Imogen. I work for Graduate Research, Education and Development. And we're a sister team to Emma's team. over at the GRC, and our business is really running support programs for you and development programs for you. And we offer a whole lot of stuff. So let me talk you through it. We've arranged our offerings around 20 different skills areas to help you navigate things a bit better. But basically our team broadly offer workshops and training and opportunities for you under 4 or 5 key kind of portfolios: industry engagement, career development, writing support, transferable skills development, and researcher development, which is the portfolio that I run. So we worked out that those broadly that could be divided into 20 skills areas, and I'm going to leave this slide up for you for a little while so that you can have a look at those 20 kind of areas on that wheel there. And I want to sort of ask you to think about which of those skills you feel you could develop the most, or where you feel you have the most opportunity to develop, and maybe share it with us in the chat towards the end of my little talk now. So this, the wheel here outlines 20 skills that HDR students can develop, and I'll talk to you about how you might go about that in a second. But there are quite a few skills there, so we've divided them into 3 broad kind of pathways to make them a little bit easier to navigate. So advanced, and things are all color coded on our website, and Murray will share the web address with you in the chat now too. The advanced stream is all the research skills that you need to complete your thesis, like academic writing or research integrity. The lead pathway relates to your professional and transferable skills. These skills are going to be really useful to you throughout your career, your future career. And engage, it relates to the way you interact with others, and particularly in the professional context. So industry engagement might involve you working with stakeholders. So has anyone chosen a skill that they feel they most need to develop, that they want to share in the chat? Don't be shy to share things in the chat. We'll do a lot more talking with each other. Time management, great. That's great. And we do have a lot of offerings there to help you along with that, as well as project management, which is pretty closely related. Anyone else going to be brave and share? Research methodologies, yes. Academic writing, we'll hear from the writing support team just after 11, really soon. Research practices, I talk about research practices. That's the portfolio that I look after, so I'll be talking about that in a minute. Pitching and negotiation, yeah. You'll enjoy getting involved in the 3MT competition, where you can learn a lot of skills around selling your research. Collaboration, awesome. You'll hear from Alexandra later today, who will talk you through our eGrad School modules, where we have one on collaboration and communication. Research ethics, well, Dr. Mark Hooper is going to talk to you in a minute too. So it's all happening today, and thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And also for spotting our mortarboard. Okay, so we have a bespoke tool just for HDR students at QUT called the Skills Assessment Tool that has 2 main functions. And I encourage everyone who's here today to jump online and spend 5 minutes going through the Skills Assessment Tool. It's really going to help you understand where you need to focus your attention to develop skills to help you get through your research degree and get your dream job when you're finished. So it'll help you identify skills, and it will also help you connect with appropriate development opportunities. As I said, we have a whole lot on offer. We work with a whole lot of teams throughout the university. So there's almost every day there's something that you could engage in if you wanted to, and if you had time. If you log in via your student login, the skills assessment tool is open to all HDR students, and you're encouraged to use it more than once, maybe once a year, to help you keep track of your skills development throughout your candidature. And if he hasn't already, I know that Murray's going to add a direct link to it. As I said, it's about 5 minutes of your time, and it can really help you understand where you are and where you want to be in terms of your skills. It's tied to your student account, so you do need to log in as a student. So this screen now shows the self-assessment part of the tool, where for each skill you make a judgment about your skill level. And on the next slide here, you see the second part of the tool, which directs you to the opportunities that we have to build your skills. So this student might be interested in academic writing, for instance, and it'll use the filters on the page to display academic writing offerings that we have coming up. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. I've talked about myself being heading up the research practices portfolio, and I just thought I'd show you a couple of things. For example, if you did the skills assessment tool and you wanted to learn more about research practices, what that might look like. And I know Emma's recently talked about milestones, so you might have a few questions about milestones. Well, actually, we have an offering called Milestone Q&A, where you come along to a panel of experts with some questions about any milestone you have coming up, and we'll answer them for you in a live environment. And there's one of those coming up in late August. We also run a really fantastic workshop called Working with Your Supervisor, where we can help you troubleshoot and develop skills and tools to really help that really crucial relationship along. Another great offering that we have is HDR Orientation. Congratulations for coming along here today. And there's also workshops run by our writing support team on presenting, so you can hone your presenting skills right before perhaps you have a milestone coming up where you have to present, or a conference. Something that I'm not in charge of, but you might also be interested in, is some teaching development, and that's run by the QUT Academy of Learning and Teaching, or QUALT. So if you search for them on HiQ, you'll be able to connect with some of the offerings that they have to help you develop your teaching skills, if that was something you were interested in or identified as something you wanted to develop. So that's just a few examples there for you. And that's it from me for a little while. I'm just going to hand over now to Dr. Mark Hooper from the Office of Research Ethics and Integrity, and he's going to talk to you about his team and what they do. Thanks a lot.
Hello, good morning. Thanks, Imogen. So I'm going to share with you quite a few things. I'm going to do all of it very quickly. So if you take away one thing, my hope is that you take away that, while you're getting on with your research, you might come across some times where you need our help. And this talk is really designed, I hope you remember that we exist and you seek our help when you need it. So I'm going to describe some of those ways. Like this. So the first thing is human ethics. So if your research is human research, you'll need to apply for human ethics approval and not start until you have that approval. Human ethics is a broad term, so thinking about whether it applies to your research, you should think, are you conducting surveys or interviews or focus groups? Basically, are you going and working with participants? Do you have access to information about people, documents or data sets, perhaps that other people have collected, social media data? Or are you collecting or using, say, bodily organs or human cell lines? Bits of people. So in all of those cases, you'll need human ethics approval. A few things I'd say about it very quickly. One thing is that it's something you'll have to plan for. It's going to take you some time. It's something you're going to have to take seriously. When you submit your ethics application, the reviewers may well come back with feedback that you'll need to address. That's very normal and something you should plan for. Ethics process in general, I like to talk about how it shines a light on your research. So you probably think you already have some idea about the kind of thing you plan to do. And as you go down the track, that'll firm up. You'll think, yeah, I'm going to survey these people about these things. I'm going to, store my data in this way and analyze it in this way. The ethics process is going to shine a light on that and make sure you've thought through all of the nitty gritty. It's going to ask, oh, really, how many participants? How will you decide if a participant is suitable? Where exactly will you store your data as you transition through the research life cycle? All of those questions. So that it might feel difficult or like a challenge, but it's something you'll have to do anyway. So I hope you find it a good experience. At any rate, we have training available. This is not a compulsory training course. It's called Human Ethics Online. It's just designed to help you if you need it. And if I were you applying for human ethics for the first time, I'd do this course, Human Research Ethics Online. It takes less than an hour. Animal ethics, I won't talk about a great deal because it won't apply to too many of you, but it's roughly the same deal. If you want to work with animals as part of your research, you'll need animal ethics approval. And I don't think it would surprise anyone when I say that you'd have to provide a compelling justification for why animals are required for your project. Again, going back, this is an image from a course we have, Animal Ethics Online. And if you work with animals, that one is compulsory. Again, it only takes about an hour, but it's training designed to help you understand your responsibilities and how to care for animals that you may use as part of your research. Research integrity. This is an image from Research Integrity Online. And when we used to do these sorts of sessions face-to-face, I used to ask people how many had done the course already, and it was about half. So congratulations to you if you didn't have an opportunity to put up your hand. For the rest of you, it's sort of an hour and a half online course. It's compulsory. It sort of introduces you to the principles of research integrity. Now, integrity is a whole spectrum of things. So on the one hand, it is very good research practices, which we love to promote, like transparency and rigor and fairness. And on the other hand, we talk about research misconduct. And so I would not like to see you in sort of that context, but it's when research goes bad. If people plagiarize or fabricate or falsify their data, our office also deals with that sort of thing. But of course, in an hour and a half course, it's just an opportunity for you to have an introduction to that and to reflect how it may relate to your research journey. Oh yeah, so that course is quite quick. So I just wanted to talk about a few things, a few additional things that may relate to you. And one is plagiarism. So I take it probably all of you know that plagiarism involves representing as one's own work, the language, ideas, or expressions of someone else. And when I talk about this, often people are like, yeah, that's obviously bad. But it's actually quite interesting. It's a culturally relative phenomenon. People around the world have different views about plagiarism, or they can. Julianne East points out that for those new to Australian academic culture, the emphasis on the importance of avoiding plagiarism can herald a new concept and a new way of using source material and constructing text. So if you haven't come from that background, it's completely fine, but you should understand that at QUT, plagiarism is taken very seriously. And if you have any questions about it, you should certainly ask. I might skip through that just for the interest of time. I will talk about this though. So I find this interesting that the root of plagiarism comes to us from the Greek, and it means kidnapper. So I think the first usage was the poet Martial, and someone had taken some of his words, and he complained that his verses had been kidnapped. So it was in that sense a metaphor at the time, and that's how we get the word. But I like the idea because it's a vivid metaphor of what plagiarism is. It fails to give credit where credit is due. There's the plagiarism. And this is from a film, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Wait a minute, people are saying hat. Is there a hat? Where's the hat? Oh. Ah. Psyched. People in the chat, good job. I want to play this game on a continual basis, if I may. Authorship's another thing I'll talk to you about real quick. Authorship, I take it you care about authorship because you probably want to publish papers. Maybe you have already if you're particularly industrious. And authorship is a research integrity issue, something to take seriously. So some papers only have one author, in which case authorship is no problem at all. But that's increasingly uncommon. So this paper in Smithsonian Research Online had over 3,000 co-authors. It's not even the longest number, but I find this one funny because the number of authors required more characters to print than the article itself. So that's a bit of a strong case. That's uncommon, but it is common for a paper to have multiple authors. People contribute to a research project in different ways, some of which are shown there. All of the contributions to research should be acknowledged fairly, but not all contributions count as authorship. So there's this document that you'd be familiar with if you've taken Research Integrity Online already, called the Australian Code for the Responsible Conduct of Research. And it's pretty specific about what qualifies as authorship of an academic output. You have a responsibility as a researcher, or researchers do, to ensure that authors of research outputs are all those and only those who have made a significant intellectual or scholarly contribution to the research and its output, and that they agree to be listed as an author. So Research Integrity Online will talk about that in more depth. I've also got a slide here, which I won't talk to, but it's for your reference later, which helps describe what might count as a significant intellectual or scholarly contribution. One thing I will say, not talking about this slide, but a slightly side issue, is that when we talk to professors or senior academics about authorship, we talk about the importance of making sure everyone's acknowledged, including students. But since I'm talking to you as students, I'd flip that around and encourage you to also think that when you come into a research project, some work may already have been done on that research project. So sometimes you come into a research project and you think, this is all mine, I'm doing all the work on this. But it may be possible that your project has already been in part conceptualized by others. Perhaps it's part of a grant, if you're lucky, that's already been conceptualized by other academics. And so it's good to reflect and have a right understanding of your contribution to a research project and of the contribution that's come before. Biosafety, just quickly, it only applies to some of you, but if you're working in labs with biological materials, you need to undertake biosafety training online. Again, that's about a 1-hour course online. You may have to undertake other training courses as well. And if you have any questions about working with biologicals, you can ask our office. Trade controls, that's a thing. Usually when I ask people if they've heard of trade controls, most people say, no, I haven't heard of trade controls. Trade controls are a system of laws and regulations that regulate national security, essentially, in terms of what we can export out of the country. So primarily, the laws are designed to stop, for example, exporting things that could lead to programs of weapons of mass destruction, right? They're about military things, protecting Australia's interests. But the way they relate to research, before you think that doesn't apply to me, is that they also regulate dual use items. So dual use items are things that are not intended for any military end use, but could be used for that way. So maybe an example is you're working on a cryptography project and it's working on code that could potentially be used for military applications. Or maybe you're trying to improve the flight time of drones, or maybe you're developing bicycles out of Kevlar because you're working with Kevlar that might be controlled. None of this you need to worry about, but it is something that you might like to talk about if you're working on something in that field. And when it comes to it, we could absolutely provide advice and help you get any permits if permits are required. This slide again is just because I assume you'll get a copy of these slides, and these are all the ways you could contact our office to ask questions. We'd absolutely be happy to help you. So please do ask your questions, send them to any of these email addresses, and we can catch up anytime. I'm going to hand over now to Jenny Hall, who is the Coordinator of Information Research Skills. So thank you for your time.
Good morning, everyone. It's so great to be here with you, and welcome to all of our new students, and welcome back to those people who have chosen QUT again. Very good choice. Very great to see you. My name is Jenny, and I work in the library in a place called the Office for Scholarly Research, Communication, sorry. And I look after AIRS, which is a mandatory course that you will all undertake. And unless you've done AIRS previously in another life within the last 5 years, you'll have to engage in the unit. I also look after research skills here at QUT. So you've had a lot of information already this morning, and I'm just wondering how you're feeling. So just give us an idea of what you're feeling about this journey that you're just about to undertake. So maybe there's a couple of, adjectives that talk about, are you excited? Are you nervous? Is there a sense of expectation? So just while I'm going through my presentation, I think it'd be really nice if you could start popping some thoughts into the chat. So I like to talk always about being an independent learner. So this slide really identifies that for me. So an independent learner does various things. The characteristics might be something like they have an understanding of when to find information, right? They have an understanding, or they seek out the information, they seek out the people that are required to help them with that information. There might be resources, there might be skills that you might be thinking, oh, I don't really have all of those skills yet. So thinking about that, that's a part of reflection, I think, that's really important to start thinking even now. And particularly when you come to something like doing AIRS, the IFN 001 unit that I'm going to talk to you about, as well as the research skills unit, You'd need to be thinking about, okay, do I already have these skills? And if I do I need to engage with those modules, or could I go straight to the assessment and fill that out immediately and then hone the skills that I don't have through the module content, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. So it's that self-awareness, I think, that I want to get across to you right now. And so if we think about some of the things that you might have to do on this journey, and I can see in the chat that someone's saying, yeah, it's a bit of a long journey. So thinking about those and knowing that we probably have to write a long document. This is just a really easy example for me to describe what we're looking for right here on the screen. So you might have those skills already, but you might not. So how would you find the information? And once you've found that information about how to write that long document, you're going to practice those skills, and then you'll apply them and you'll translate them to different contexts. So do you, at this stage, understand how to write a long document? Understand the software that you might need to write the references, or to use a referencing application software in conjunction with Word or some other word processing application? Do you know how to merge chapters, write table of contents pages, that sort of thing? So what we're suggesting is the first port of call ought to be something like LinkedIn Learning. So LinkedIn Learning, you'd go and find a piece on long documents, all the things that you'd need to think about, and then start getting into that, finding the information, practicing, applying, and translating. So that's an example of an independent learner using those ideas, or the thoughts of self-reflection, knowing where you're at and going to find that information. So that's what we call a tiered zeros resource. So there's lots of other learning support, and I'm joined here today by quite a few liaison librarians. So you may not have heard that term before, because librarians are called various things across the world, that's for sure. All very positive, by the way. They are skilled and understand specific information about your information terrain. Many of them are professionals or have had a professional life in the area that they're linked to within a faculty or a school. So they would be a great port of call, a great resource for you to go and have a conversation with about, okay, what databases would I search for my topic area? How would I search those databases? I want to get published in this particular area. What's a really good journal for me to publish in, et cetera, et cetera. And the brilliant thing about these experts in the information terrain that you're in is that you can create consultations with them over time. So start today, introduce yourself to them, find out who your liaison librarian is, introduce yourself, and then create that communication, that journey. They'll journey with you, they'll partner with you throughout your degree. So that's a really big plug for your liaison librarian. So make an appointment with them. Anybody already know their liaison librarian? That would be a really big ask, I know. Very good, thank you, Alice. So I'm being supported by the liaison librarians here. The other thing that I'd like to talk to you about here is AIRS. So IFN 001, Advanced Information Research Skills. That's the mandatory course or unit that you need to undertake as part of your journey here as a PhD student and an MPhil student. So it's mandatory. You would do this before your first stage, before your stage 2 or your research proposal is due. And yes, thank you, Antoinette, you've already received an introductory email. So my team So Zach's in the room as well, and Mika. So you'll get, hi Zach, you'll get emails from my team identifying when your assignment is due. So your assignment is a resource log. So you look through the lens of your research to complete the assessment. And that's due in 3 to 6 months of starting, dependent on whether you're part-time or full-time. But you will receive an email from us. We're the only university in Australia, and I think overseas as well, that does a unit like this as a preparatory unit for you to come in to do a higher degree. This is because there's a whole lot of skill levels that are required to complete your PhD or your MPhil, but also students come in at different stages. So a really important unit for you to engage with. We also do research skills training, and I coordinate that as well. And so this slide just gives you an idea of the enormous amount of workshops we have available. So publishing your data, data storage and sharing, the research support consultations with your liaison librarian, getting published, etc. So where do you find all of these beautiful workshops that a lot of effort has been put into? And some of them are quite funky and quite quick as well. So you can do a 30-minute workshop on data, for instance. Just at the GRED page, and you can see here that we've put the link in. So all of the training that we speak about today will be through the Develop Research and Career Skills link. And AIRS has a web page. So you submit your log or your assessment through the Blackboard page, but not through to engage with the curriculum. We have this lovely page, and you can see Murray has put the link in to the page there. So lots of information there for you to engage with, digitally enhanced information, etc. And just another plug before we finish, your liaison librarian, what can they help you with? So this is a list, and it's probably quite a short list compared to what other things that they can do. My last thing would be my tips for being an independent learner. So it's that idea of practicing, adapting and translating those skills that you've learned. And be a self-starter, be motivated, develop resilience and overcome challenges, work on being an excellent time manager. So the first thing you're going to have to do is manage AIRS. So think about that. And the last thing I wanted to say was consider your skills gap. And Murray's going to talk to you about the skills audit. But also find the help you need when you need it. Don't sit with something that feels uncomfortable. Find out who you need to speak to. It's always a great pleasure to talk to you at the very beginning of your journey. And I hope it's a wonderful journey for you. And we look forward to seeing you in AIRS. Have a great day.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm back. Oh, sorry, a little bit of a change from what I thought I was doing next, but that's fine. Let's talk about mental health and wellbeing. This is something I'm going to chat to you about just briefly, because it's something that we know is really, really important for you to look after during your research degree. So you might have heard some of the stats out there, like for example, at any given time in the general population, we know that about 1 in 5 people are suffering some sort of mental health issue. And there's been some recent research that shows that in the HDR population, that figure can be as many as 1 in 3. So it's very, very serious and something that we take seriously. So it's important that I share with you a few of the resources and some of the development opportunities that are available to you to help you on your way. So first of all, there's some ways for you to, yes, there's a hat. There's some ways for you to raise your awareness of your own well-being and mental health and that of those around you, perhaps of your peers. So first of all, we have a fantastic offering that my colleague Tasha is going to talk to you about later, called the Writers Wellbeing Lounge, where HDR students come together in a really supportive environment and do some writing sprints and also connect with one another and share. And I'll leave that to her to talk to you more about. QRSnet is a fantastic organisation at QUT who have workshops and sessions for HDR students in a really informal environment where you can get together and take part in arts activities, in coffee catch-ups, and just connect and talk to one another and support one another through your research degree. Or you can attend any session that we have, because we always interact with one another in our workshops. They're always really there's a lot of peer engagement. We always have lots of activities. We have lots of regulars who come along and get to know one another. So even though at the moment all our offerings are online, there's still great ways to combat the isolation that tends to go hand in hand with some research degrees. Another thing you can do, as I said, is develop your own skills in dealing with wellbeing and resilience. So we have some quick HDR resilience workshops that are available online that take about half an hour each on 3 different aspects of resilience. We have a mental health awareness workshop that I run that's been developed by QUT Counselling, and we do some activities together and watch some of the pre-recorded material from QUT Counselling. It all comes together really well. And there's also a brand new offering from eGrad School, which is a 5-week moderated online module. You spend 2 or 3 hours a week engaging with the materials and in online discussions with researchers like yourself from universities all around Australia, including QUT. And that's called Mental Wellbeing for Researchers. I'm really excited about that opportunity. So I'd encourage you to connect with any of those offerings that you can. And just a reminder that QUT Counselling is staffed by really experienced, highly qualified psychologists who know what HDRs specifically are going through. So if you are having trouble, there are free 20-minute drop-in sessions during business hours. So you can always access some support. And then if you book an appointment, you can have a 50-minute consultation and they're free. And as I said, the psychologists know a lot about HDR matters and can definitely offer guidance that's tailored to the experience that you're going through. There's also QUT Medical Centre if you want to talk to a GP. And I've got the lines there for Lifeline and Beyond Blue because I think you should never miss an opportunity to spread the word about those services and the support that they offer. Okay, so a little bit of seriousness there. But let's lift the mood a little bit with everyone's favourite activity, an icebreaker. So this brings us to the end of our first sort of session. We're going to have a break now, basically. So what I'm going to do is pop you into breakout rooms, and I'd encourage you to embrace this opportunity. Networking and talking to fellow researchers in a multidisciplinary environment is a really important part of developing as a researcher. And my team, we're all about that. We're all about you developing as a researcher. So click join when I say to. Turn on your camera and your mic. And all I'm asking you to do is introduce yourself and tell your fellow HDRs about your research. So let me organise some breakout rooms. If there's any staff members, I know there's a lot of staff members with us this morning. If you're a staff member, if you get allocated, that's fine. Just don't join, and I will make sure that everything runs smoothly. So please click join. There should be a big join button appearing on your screen somewhere. I'd really appreciate it if you got in there and just meet one another. And then after 5 minutes, so let's say at 11:15, just come back to the main room and I'll close the breakout rooms and we can get ready for our second session. Thank you so much, everyone.
It takes a minute.
Okay, everyone, I can see everyone slowly joining us again. Thank you so much for taking part in that activity. And sorry if a couple of people didn't quite get assigned to a room. I think there were a couple of people who ended up unassigned at the end. Apologies for that. Just a quick little icebreaker, but also something just to break up the session. I know there's a lot of information, so now is a really good time to remind you that if you put your student number in the chat, I'll send you all of the materials from this session today or tomorrow. So you'll have a video recording of what we've gone through today, as well as the slides. And I'll also send you a little feedback survey as well. So just remember to put your student number in that chat if you haven't already, or if you've joined us late. So now I've got a very special pair to introduce to you. I'd like to introduce Dr. Kerry Freeman and Natasha Kitano from the GRED Writing Support Team. They are instrumental to the success of HDRs throughout QUT. They do some wonderful, wonderful work with you. And they're going to chat to you about what they've got coming up and what they run throughout the year. So here's Tash and Kerry.
Great. Thanks so much, Imogen. Nice to meet you all. So my name is Natasha Kitano, and my colleague, Dr. Kerry Freeman, and I, we're the language and learning educators with the GRED team. And our role is to provide support with your writing. So I guess the reason that we're important is because academic writing is the foundation on which your degree is awarded. So we are here to both support and motivate you to build confidence as writers, and also to develop your sense of scholarly identity. So we thought we'd start with something fun, and we're going to ask you in the chat function to rate your academic writing style. So you can see here, we have you can put in a 5 if you think you're really awesome at academic writing. 4, Murray's just put in the link there. 4 if you've done a fair bit. 3 if you think you're average at it. I think I'm okay. And 2 is, oh my God, what are you talking about? So, okay, let's have a look at the numbers. Got some confident writers, not so confident. Okay, great. No 1s. People know what academic writing means, so that's good. Excellent. Yay. Well, thanks for participating in that. Okay, excellent. So if you do feel like you have a 1, there's no judgment. That's fine. You're welcome to put that in as well. Okay, so moving along. So with the GRED Writing Support Team, Karen and myself, we're here to provide student-centered offerings which help you develop your academic writing skills. And we follow a tiered approach, as you can see here. We have online self-help resources, and these are all available on the HDR Student Blackboard site, which I'll show you in a minute. We have writing circles, we have HDR workshops. Imogen mentioned earlier, there's an HDR Writers Wellbeing Lounge. We have writing retreats, and we also have peer feedback sessions. So I'll go through them in detail. Okay, so we have a dedicated space for you. It's the HDR Student Blackboard site. Thanks, Murray, she's put in the link there for you. So this is where all our online resources, oh, I can see something. Yes, there's a hat. Great. So I'm not sure who the first person was, so well done. Yes, so this is where our online resources are located. And we also keep recordings of our offerings here as well. So we have group writing events, online resources, which are around grammar, academic writing style, and also thesis structure. Okay. So we have workshops and we have writing circles, and we've tried to, these are a growing suite of offerings. We've tried to differentiate between them a little bit. In the workshops, we provide an overview of theory and principles of an area of writing practice, and I'll go through those workshops with you in a moment. Always in our workshops, we offer a peer discussion in a breakout room. And as Imogen said, it's a space for you to connect with your peers and network. So they'll always be recorded and put on the HDR Student Blackboard site. Writing circles. These circles are a little bit different in that we provide exemplars and we have lots of practical activities in these circles. And often you come to the writing circle by preparing for a specific, by reading a specific online resource, but we'll remind you about that as well. And again, these are recorded and put on the Student Blackboard site. Okay, so I'll just go through some of the workshops that we offer. These are offered once a semester. And in fact, you're quite fortunate because tomorrow we're going to, there's a workshop on HDR academic writing. So I think Murray's just put a link there for registration. So you can click on that and register for tomorrow's event. In green are the workshops that suit early candidature. So we have academic writing, writing a research proposal, and trade secrets for your HDR journey. We also have mid-candidature workshops, which are the lit review, academic vocabulary, and how to manage and respond to feedback. Also really important skill. In late candidature, we have engaging your reader, dealing with writer's block, and writing up your thesis. So please register for these workshops. Great experiences for you. So then we have our writing circles, as I mentioned. They're more interactive. We provide exemplars. You can see there's a range of topics there. I recommend that you register for all of these, and it will really help for your journey. Okay. All right, so as well as workshops and writing circles, we have other support, including this lounge. So it's titled the HDR Writers Wellbeing Lounge, but basically it's a space for you to get some writing done. I think Emma Kirkland mentioned earlier that it's important to write early and write often. So that's what this lounge offers you. They're weekly lounges, and in fact, there's one this Thursday, and Murray's just put a link in for registration as well. Even if you don't have any writing yet, you can come along to the lounge and start doing some reading or thinking about what you're going to write about. We use the Pomodoro technique for writing, which is a 25-minute writing sprint. I also offer you a chance to reflect on your writing. And then we have some time as well to connect with others. And it's an opportunity for you to support each other and maintain that sense of well-being. We often talk about HDR related matters. So come along to the weekly lounges, and there's no excuses to get some writing done. Something else that we offer you is a half-day writing retreat. So the next one is on October 7th. And again, we do timed writing sprints, focused writing. Again, it's an opportunity to connect with other students. And I offer exercises where you can improve the cohesion in your writing and coherence in your writing, and also check understandings of academic writing principles. So come along to all of our events. I'm going to pass on to Kerry, who's going to continue with the other offerings we have at HDR Writing Support. Okay.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name's Kerry. Thanks, Tasha. And let's keep moving through these offerings that we have. So we also have facilitated peer feedback sessions. So these complement our other offerings in our writing program. And that's because it's difficult to improve our writing skills when we work on our own. So coming to these sessions gives you an excellent opportunity to have in-depth discussions with your peers. Your peers will also review your document and give you some actionable feedback to improve your drafts. So the other aim of these sessions is to improve your feedback literacy, which is really important when you're engaging with your supervisors. You want to be very good at asking for and also receiving feedback. So come along to those. We have them usually 2 a month. All right, so we work really hard to make sure that we have opportunities that allow you to engage with your peers and obviously improve your writing skills. This is just a few of the recent feedback that we've received from students so that you can see we want you to be active learners, and by coming to these sessions, it's going to help you with a lot of your skills and also to your confidence as well in your writing, which is important too. We also have the HDR Academic Writing Skills Assessment Tool. That Murray's going to put that in the links in the chat. That's on the Blackboard site. And you go onto the tool and you self-assess your writing, and then you receive an email that aligns with the skills that you think that you need to improve. And it will tell you the most appropriate resources and writing sessions that we have that's going to help you to improve. So go along if you can, jump onto that link and assess your skills and see the most appropriate offerings for you to start with. So just to finish up, some tips to improve your writing. So as I said, confidence is really, really important. So the more reading that you do and noticing how authors in your field write, then that's going to help you improve your skills as well. You can use those research articles that are well written to model your own writing. Also, as Tasha was saying, come to the lounge so that you can write as often as possible. And the more you write those drafts, the more you'll have to polish up and to improve on. And of course, as we said, make sure you write often. So if you can, schedule into your week at least 1 or 2 writing sessions, even if they're only about 20, 30 minutes. That's something where you can really focus on your writing and get those drafts written. So staying in touch with the writing support team, our email is there, hdr.writing@QUT. Of course, you can jump onto the HDR Student Blackboard site and see all of our resources that are there, and HiQ as well for all our offerings that are coming up. So we hope to see you soon at some of our events in the next couple of weeks. That would be great. And I am now going to hand you over to our HDR Partnerships Officer, Susan Schlinker, and she's going to tell you all about what she does for you guys.
Well, thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Kerry, and I'm delighted to be here with all of you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I think it's great that you're really invested in having a look at how the support that the GRED team can really help support you through your MPhil and your PhD journey. So as Kerry mentioned, my name is Susan Schlinker. I'm the HDR Partnerships Officer for the Graduate Research Education Development team. Just like to draw your attention to the email address that's on the slide, hdr.intern@qut.edu.au. That's where you can reach me. So feel free to make a note of it and reach out at the end of this presentation if you have any follow-up questions or anything that I can help you with. So what is industry? And sometimes we have students say I can see someone said hat in the chat. Good to see you're playing the game. So sometimes we have students who think industry is maybe just advanced manufacturing, but industry is a catch-all term which refers to a wide range of research end users. And you might be sitting there thinking, well, hang on a second, I want to be an academic. Why is this person telling me about industry engagement? And the main 2 reasons that we have such a broad and robust industry engagement program in the GRED team is 2 main reasons. So first of all, over 50% of PhD students will actually go on to work in industry. And also it's becoming a requirement for academic staff to have the skills to be able to connect with industry, to engage with industry as part of their academic career. So I would say that irrespective of which path that you end up taking, whether it be academia or whether it be industry, these industry engagement skills are really going to be crucial for you in either avenue that you choose. So we have a great program with lots of different industry engagement opportunities. And I like to think of myself as a broker of opportunities because I'm really passionate about connecting students with the industry engagement experiences that are going to help them shape and drive towards their career aspirations. So on this slide here, you can see a few of the industry engagement opportunities that we have, and I'll be running through a few of these quickly for you today, just to give you a brief overview as to what's available for you through the rest of your degree. So let's start with a HDR internship. And I would say that this is the best way to have an industry engagement experience. We have the HDR internship program at QT, and this can be a 2 to 6 month industry funded research project. And so you actually will get to work with an industry partner together with an academic mentor who supports you on the project as well. And the three of you together will devise a project and proposed activities for your internship. It is really a fabulous way to gain experience within the industry, but also to build your networks and to build out your CV so that you are a well-rounded researcher. And there's information there about the different stages where you need to be in your degree in order to be eligible. Internships are also really competitive. So when you see them advertised, I would strongly recommend that you consider them like a job application. We have lots of students going for them. And I'll also tell you a little bit later how you can register for these internships and other industry engagement opportunities to be emailed to you. So internships are 2 to 6 months, and it's where you're actually doing productive work for an industry partner. And then we have immersion placements. So these are a shorter opportunity. They're somewhere between 1 and 30 days, and that doesn't have to be consecutive. It could be something like 1 day a week for 12 weeks, for instance. And it's a really great shadowing experience for you to go out and to try the industry that you're interested in. They're self-sourced placements, which I think is really lovely. It gives you the opportunity to build your networks and to have some choice as well as to where you would like to undertake an industry engagement opportunity. And I think that immersion placements are really wonderful because there's no limit on them. You can do as many as you like across your degree. And this is really vital because sometimes we have a picture in our mind of, when I graduate, I would like to end up here. But what if you actually won't like that in reality? Immersion placements are a really great way for you to go and try the industry that you're thinking of then working in the future and making sure it's the right fit for you. And if it's not, then that's okay. And you've got time then. There's other ways to explore redirecting your career aspirations. So I'd really recommend having a look into immersion placements. The HDR Design Sprint. So this is an annual activity that we have in November each year. And it's where HDR students work with an industry partner on a real world big picture problem. So for instance, last year in 2020, we were working with the Office of the Queensland Chief Scientist. And the problem that the students were working on was, how can you educate a general population in terms of increasing their scientific knowledge? Really big problem, right? Amazing way to work together with your peers on a short intensive project. And why this is really important is because you need to have cross-disciplinary and also transdisciplinary skills to be able to work with peers in different areas after you've graduated. So it's a really great experiential learning project. We have the next design sprint, which is coming up in November 2021. And I would recommend that you keep your eye on the GRED emails, which come out monthly, and we'll soon be letting you know when we're accepting registrations for the design sprint. The 3-minute thesis competition. So in September every year, we have a fantastic event, which is called the Graduate Research Showcase, and it combines the 3-minute thesis competition and also the Visualize Your Thesis competition. 3-minute thesis is where students have the opportunity to communicate about your research and its impact in just 3 minutes. And you might think, my project is huge. How can I possibly do it in that amount of time? The reason why it's that tight, short time is because it's going to help you build your research communication skills. Essentially, if you are trying to have someone or trying to engage someone in your research, have an elevator pitch, essentially, that you can communicate to a broad audience and to people who perhaps aren't necessarily in your discipline. It's an international competition, and so the QUT finalist will actually go on to compete in the Asia Pacific 3-minute thesis competition. It really increases your research exposure, and there is a lot of social media and press around this event, and there's also prize money for participating students as well. And the Visualize Your Thesis competition. So as I mentioned, this is part of the Graduate Research Showcase. This is different in that what you are producing is a 1-minute digital short to communicate your research and its impact. Again, great opportunity to increase your research exposure and really good opportunity to broaden your research communication skills in a different way. And one thing I'll mention here is that if you go onto the HiQ site and search for 3-minute thesis or Visualize Your Thesis, you can actually go and watch the videos of last year's winners to see what the competition is about and if you would like to participate in the future. Registrations for 2021 have now closed, but you're more than welcome to participate in 2022. But we would love for you to attend the QUT Graduate Research Showcase to really celebrate your peers and to be there for support for them, and also to give you inspiration on how you would like to develop your presentation for next year's competition. So it's 15th of September at 12 p.m. And thank you, Murray. He's just placed the link into the chat on where you can register for tickets. The last opportunity I'd like to talk about is mentoring opportunities. So there are 2 different programs that are available. QUT has its own mentoring program, and also there is the IMNIS program, which is a STEM specific mentoring program. Both of these programs have closed for 2021, but applications will open again in 2022. So I recommend that you keep it on your radar and to apply for next year. So where can you find information? I love when I see the hat in the chat go off. If you look on HiQ and search for Engage with Industry, you'll come to this page here. All of the information is there. And where can you start? Well, read through that Engage with Industry site. And also I recommend registering online. Murray has just put the link in the chat on where you can register so that you'll receive email notifications on when I have internships open for application and also other industry engagement opportunities. If you're super keen, I have a session coming up tomorrow, which is how to be more competitive in research, HDR industry engagement. I'd really recommend that you join that. It's on at 1 p.m. tomorrow. And what can you do today? Well, my advice, my final advice to you would be to think of industry as another door or a series of doors that could potentially be open for you. So set yourself some industry engagement goals throughout the course of your degree. Attend networking events, interact with your peers, come along to training, and don't be shy or risk averse to jumping into other areas where perhaps your research skills can be applied. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at any time. I look forward to working with you. And now I would like to pass over to my lovely colleague, Alexandra. I can't pronounce her last name, I'm so sorry, but Alexandra, and she'll be talking about the eGrad School. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Olechnovich, and I'm here to present eGrad School for you. And I hope you get out of it a lot, because eGrad School is a tool which complement everything you can learn with us. It links with our philosophy as well of 3 pathways: advance, lead, and engage. So let's go. So eGrad School, it's an online platform. It's a virtual school which is managed by QUT and offers 3 modules for eGrad School researchers, not only HDR students, but also early career researchers. And what's good about our module is that they offer you great networking with other researchers from Australia. And we so far taught 21,000 students in Australia in a research space. Our modules are designed for you to help you to develop skills which we identify as a gap, to help you with your future, to make you more well, to make you more, I'm sorry, to help you develop on the market, not only at academia, but also what Susan mentioned, be the person aligned with the real world. So what our modules offer, first of all, they are very flexible and they are fully online. Our module can require you learning experience of about 3 to 4, 5 hours per week. And best thing is that you can access your module whenever it suits you. So after your labs, after your research, you just sit down and study the content and engage online with other students through online discussion, through polls, and also watching weekly videos from your moderator. So why our modules are unique? So quickly highlight few features which might help you to decide to join our eGrad School courses. First of all, we have this peer-to-peer engagement, the engagement which is led by students, because you are a part of online discussions. You exchange your knowledge and experience and discuss the topic which was posted by your moderator. Let's talk about our moderators. They are specialized in this design content. They can always exchange the experience they have and give you the additional flavor you don't find somewhere else. Moreover, our modules, as I mentioned, are flexible. That really helps research students who are so busy developing the research and going through candidature milestones. The other thing which is very important, which linked directly with Susan's offerings, is that we focus on industry engagement, because many of our modules will make you stronger in that space. We have modules which provide leadership skills, modules which help you with project management, how to explore your future career. Moreover, we also embedded indigenous perspective in our teaching and learning, just to make sure we open this view and explore our research portfolio to make sure our researchers are unique. Here is a quick view of our 2021 calendar. Our modules are offered in 4 blocks, and as I mentioned, engagement is for 5 weeks. And we just started week 1 for our 3rd block, where we focus on transdisciplinarity, on improving digital skills as well. We have introduction to coding and also digital competencies and critical and creative thinking, which is so important. And as I mentioned, project management, which all researchers need. And that's all from me. And I hope you can watch a very short video with a very quick view of our moderators.
I hope you enjoy it, but keep working on your CSS. You can still make changes. See you in week 3.
Hi everyone, it's Murray here, and I'm going to be giving these weekly wraps of what happened in the discussion forum during the week.
And I'll give it to Catherine.
Thank you, Ola, and hello, everyone. So my name's Catherine. I just want to start by saying congratulations, you've made it. Not only almost to the end of orientation, but most importantly to the start of your HDR journey. Speaking from experience, the next few years will be really rewarding, hard sometimes, don't get me wrong, but really worth it. And so I just wanted to talk to you, I guess, sum up some of the information, a lot of information that you've received today about the support and training opportunities available to you. My job in the grad team is to make sure that you are all aware of how to access those resources and have the information you need. So I'm just going to talk to you about a few of the ways that you can stay up to date with us. And yes, there is a hat. There is a hat. Earlier in the session, Emma and a few others have talked about the importance of your student email. And I just want to, I guess, double down on that and second that, because most of the communications that you'll be receiving from our team and the university more broadly will be through your student email. So forward it to your personal email if that's what works best for you, or set up whatever system works. But if you want to stay up to date with most of the events that the grad team puts on, most of those will come to you through your email. So there's 2 main emails or 2 regular emails that you'll receive from us. The first one you'll get every Monday morning. It's called HDR Matters, and it's basically a personalized email update that will give you a breakdown of the grad events for the coming week. We'll break events down into categories. So like you've seen today, writing support or industry engagement. And we want to make sure that you hear about the events that you want to know about. So you can tell us your preferences, tell us what you want to hear about. There's a link there on that slide and also a QR code. So let us know what's interesting to you, what you want to kind of take part in across your HDR journey. And that way you'll be able to hear about those opportunities every week as they happen. You'll also receive an HDR newsletter on the first Friday of every month. And this is a bit broader. It'll have information from right across the university. So not just grad, things like the library or QRSnet, all of those opportunities kind of condensed into that email newsletter. And of course, everyone's mentioned the HiQ page, so that develop your research and career skills. All of the sessions are there. There's a short link there as well. Murray's just popped the link in the chat for updating your email preferences. Good luck. Your research journey is really exciting. Stay up to date, and of course, let us know if you have any questions. I'm going to hand back over to Imogen to close off and start the Q&A. Thanks. Okay, thanks everyone. I'm back and we are very, very close to the finish of our session, which is great news, I suppose, although I'm going to miss your company. I just want to commend you on your incredible hat finding skills. It's really, really impressive. I tried to make each more diabolical than the last, but it's so easy that, you know, it's taking less than half a second for people to find the hats. Does anyone know how many hats have been found so far? Anyone? Yeah, 9. And how many did we have? I'm watching the chat. Well, Yes, we had 10. So there's one more hat hidden somewhere in the next couple of slides. So let's have a Q&A. Before we kick off, and I'll ask you to post your questions in the chat. Before we kick off, I just want to remind you, try and keep your questions of a general nature about anything relevant to starting out in an HDR. If you've got specific questions about, finding a desk or, your first milestone, remember we've got a milestone Q&A session coming up in about a month, and I might actually hit Murray up to see if he can share the link to our milestone Q&A workshop, because it's really, really relevant to people starting out in their research degree. So try and keep your questions general. I'm joined by a whole lot of experts, teams from the library, from candidature, from our HDR client services team, and from Ori, and of course, all of the grad team who you've heard from today are also here. So fire away. I'm sure you must have questions. And there's a link to Milestone Q&A if you want to sign up and join me and our panel in August. So does anyone have a question about anything? And don't be shy. And maybe it's not that general, but kick us off. I'll help you out. I'm sure you're all typing furiously, so I'll just wait. Hope someone's got a question. But if not, we can finish early, I suppose. Oh, okay, someone spotted an iPad. Does anyone have a question about getting desk space or anything like that? Let's start off with one of those questions. Anyone have any issues finding where they're meant to be in the university if they're on campus? No? Maybe? Okay, I did the skills assessment, got my skills report. It seemed to give me back a list of all the questions and show what answer I had selected, then got 89 recommended opportunities. This might be one for Murray. Dr. Murray Lane is our grad learning designer, and he's across everything to do with the skills assessment tool. I might leave that with him for 1 minute and turn to Annie's question.
I could just answer it.
Oh, you can answer it. Great. Okay.
Imogen.
Murray's here. Thanks, Murray.
I think what you need to do at that point is just to filter your opportunities. Down the left-hand side of the skills assessment tool is a list of skills. So you just click on the skills that you want to see the opportunities for rather than seeing all of them. That would be my suggestion there.
Thanks, Murray. I had a great question. How strict are the milestone deadlines? Now, I might see if someone from candidature or the HDR client services team is available to jump in there.
I can take that one, Imogen. It's Jill.
Oh, thank you, Jill. Can I introduce you, Jill?
Hi.
This is the wonderful Jill Blacker, who heads up our candidature team. And she does a fantastic job managing all of your milestones and your candidature matters. Thanks, Jill.
So the candidature milestones are carefully planned out to be at certain stages within your candidature to give you the best opportunity to progress. As a general rule, there's a 2-week window with those milestone dates where you don't need to apply for an extension. If you are having some research related delays, you can apply for an extension to those milestones. That will be considered by the faculty and by the Graduate Research Centre. Or if you're having some personal issues that are causing you some delays with your candidature, you can apply for a leave of absence. So the milestones are signposted as to where they are in your candidature, but there's always flexibility around how we manage that.
Jill, just to drill down a little bit, if someone's asked for stage 2, if they could submit it in 4 months instead of 3 without applying for an extension, what does that look like?
It would really depend on the student's circumstances. So I would really encourage them to talk to their client services officer in the first instance in regards to that, because they'll be able to give them some advice on whether they need an extension or whether there's circumstances that would allow that to be a little bit delayed.
And thanks so much, Jill. I've got a few questions about desk space and also resources like computers. So if you have questions like that, the team you want to talk to are the client services team. And I'm just typing in the email address for you, hdr@qut.edu.au. I know Sarah's already jumped in to help Rowena. what about getting a computer on a desk? How long does that usually take? Is anyone from the client services team able to jump in? I think Emma's going to join us.
Hello, sorry, I was trying to figure out how to use my video again. It's a little bit tricky at the moment. So in most cases within schools, we do have computers already available, even though for many new students coming through in health specifically, they do now get an option of a desktop or a laptop. When ordering those, that can take a little bit of time because computers and computer chips and in general at the moment with the COVID pandemic, it's there's been quite a number of delays with getting new equipment in. But in most cases, we should already have some resources within the school that we can at least use in the interim. So when you said contact us at hdr@qut.edu.au, we can follow up with the school coordinators specifically and find out what the delays are within that particular school and see what we can do in the interim.
Thanks, Emma. And Emma, can I just ask you another question that's come through? Where do you find information about articulating from an MPhil to a PhD?
Again, so that is on the HiQ site for the research community site for HDR students under the candidature tab. You can also email us at the hdr@qut.edu.au and we can send you some information specific to that as well. But you do need to request approval to hold your articulation seminar prior to going ahead and planning that.
Thanks, Emma. And what's the word on QUT laptops? If you are working off campus, where can students find out more information about getting a QUT laptop?
Yeah, that's a little bit different depending on what faculty you're in. The Faculty of Health has an IT package for new students where they can opt to have a laptop, and of course they can take that off campus. I know that Creative Industries has that as well. In terms of QUT laptops, there's various schemes available. I think you can actually hire them from HiQ, but it might only be for a day or so. You'd have to double check that. QUT Equity has special bursaries for students to apply for laptops as well if they're in financial hardship. So if they are in that situation, they can apply.
Okay, so Karen's asked this question. I'll probably direct her to emailing hdr@qut.edu.au so that a team member can take a look at her circumstances.
Depends what faculty it is, yeah.
Okay, so that and that's why the client services team is so fantastic. They've got specialists from each faculty and experts in all of the different policies and procedures that apply in different faculties. So if in doubt, hdr@qut.edu.au and you will get answers from this fabulous team who are just so wonderful at looking after researchers. So I did have a question that might be for Jill. Are there any updates about border restrictions for international students trying to get into Australia that you can share, or somewhere they can check where you recommend?
Not at the moment, not that I'm aware of. Andrew Kerslake, who's the director of the Graduate Research Centre, is keeping us up to date with that information. So he'll share that if there's any more information available. I would encourage you to just keep checking the QUT website or the Department of Immigration website. They have some information as well. But as soon as we get information available to us, we will circulate that to students.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Couple of questions about stage 2s, and I can understand why it's coming up for a lot of you already, and it's pretty scary and it's your first milestone. I think there's sort of a 2-week window, am I right, for submitting the report, the document? And I've just got a student who wants to know, can you explain about the 2-week window for the stage 2 report? Does that 2-week window mean that the stage 2 report can be submitted 2 weeks after the due date?
Stage 2, the 2-week window that I mentioned earlier was about all milestones. Stage 2, because it's the first milestone, it's early in candidature, it really does depend on your specific circumstances. So not to keep saying the same thing, but your best your best option there is to just email hdr@qt.edu.au. They will give you information that's specific to your circumstances. So when you look at the QT app, you'll see for all milestones, you've got a due date for those milestones. The 2-week window is you don't have to apply for an extension if you're going to be able to undertake your milestone within 2 weeks of that due date. Stage 2, because there's some structure around when that's due and when you have to do it, attempted it within the PhD course regs, it's a little bit different. So I would encourage you to just check with the CSO team about stage 2.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know I kind of keep banging on about it, but that hdr@qut.edu.au email address will get 95% of your questions answered, I guarantee. And again, the team are just so fantastic, and they just love helping HDR students. That's why they're here, and they do a great job. So thank you, everyone. We don't have a whole lot of questions rolling in. Thanks so much, Jill and Emma and Sarah and a couple of others for jumping in there and helping out. I do appreciate it. I hope today hasn't been overwhelming in any way, but if you are feeling overwhelmed, I hope you're feeling overwhelmed with support. And remember, we'll be emailing you regularly. The resources from this session are going to be available. So even if it feels like a lot of information at the moment, you've got years to work through it all. And again, all of it exists to make your journey as enjoyable and as successful as possible. So I'd just like to ask you to pop your video on if you can. So I can take a photo of you using, yeah, so just, sorry, I just have to end share. Yeah, oh, I have to stop share, hold on. Here we go. So if you just put it on gallery view and everyone say hi, it's great for everyone to pop it on gallery view. I'm just going to take a wonderful screenshot, say hi. Hi, thank you so much, that's great. And I'm just going to share my screen again. That was beautiful. I love your work. And that just brings me to the end of our session. And of course, turn on your camera. And of course, one final opportunity. Oh, there we go. To spot the hat. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thanks to all the speakers who joined us today. Again, I hope you're feeling supported. I hope you're feeling confident. I hope you're feeling excited, because it's an incredible journey of discovery and personal discovery as well. I hope to see you at some of the workshops that I'm going to be running over the next few years. And I'm sure you'll be connecting with other people that you've met today on screen. Thank you very much again. I'll just leave the session open for a little bit so that Julia can, I think she's been in touch with our winner of the final hat competition. Thanks for being such great hat finders. And I'm going to close off the session now. And yeah, I appreciate all your time and attention. Cheers.